Greetings! Today I am playing with my Focus RS shifter setup.
Alright, in the RS then, obviously this is the shifter, and if you've been following my videos, you will know that I have done quite a lot of modification to this with various different bushings, so the shifter base bushings, the cable bracket bushings, and the cable end bushings under the bonnet as well, and then of course the awesome Likewise Thicc Boi on top of the actual short shifter mod from COBB. So I think it's a pretty complete shifter setup, and of course I do really like it, and I've done a video talking about that before. So you know, it is a nice level of shortness in my opinion, and it feels nice and chunky. There isn't anything like bad about the setup. Of course I did the video where I said that, you know, I'm super happy with it. What has happened though is last year I got the Mini, and of course whenever I got the Mini I wasn't really liking the shifter setup. It felt really long and vague, and I very quickly did the short shifter setup from Forge Motorsport. Whenever I did that, I just kind of guessed where to put the amount of shortness, and you know, admittedly at the start I wasn't really too sure because it was very short and it made it very sort of chunky, but over time I came to really like it. Right, so jumping over into the Mini, you can see it is, I think, noticeably shorter, and it also has this really sort of mechanical chunk to it, so it's maybe, I don't know if you can really hear that, or I mean obviously you can't feel what I'm feeling, but it's got an even more mechanical chunk than it does in the RS. So obviously the mechanical chunk isn't something that can really be recreated in the RS beyond what I've already done with all the different mods that I've done, short of changing to a completely different like gearbox setup or whatever. But what I can do is I can shorten the throw in the RS even more than it already is, because if you remember from my videos before, if you've been following my channel for a while, whenever I did the COBB short shifter in the RS, it has 3 different selectable settings for the amount of shortening the throw that you can do, and it's very easy to change over between them. And whenever I did that, I selected the one right in the middle, so not the minimum amount of shortening and not the most amount of shortening, just right in the middle, because I didn't know what it would feel like and I wanted to see what it would feel like. And of course, for all of this time since doing that, I thought it was pretty good, but over time of this accidental random amount of shortening that I did in the Mini setup, I've come to really like it. And it's not just about how it feels, it's the performance aspect of it. I feel like now that I am used to it in here, I can actually shift quicker in the Mini than I can in the RS. So therefore, to change the RS something closer to what we have in the Mini, I am going to utilize that feature that is built into the COBB short shift plate, and I am going to change the amount of shortening of the throw to the maximum setting, and then we will go out on the road, see how it feels, see how it compares, and yeah, hopefully we will be able to increase our shifting performance that little bit more in the RS. Under the bonnet then, you can quite easily see the COBB down in there, and that obviously is what we need to get to do this modification of a previous modification. I mean, you could maybe get your hand in there and do it without taking anything else out, but realistically we need to pull the intake, at least the first part of the intake, the airbox and what have you, so that we can get right in there, pop the cable end off, and then change the setting of our little ball end, and then put it all back together. So yeah, first step, I'm going to take all this stuff out. Obviously I have covered this before, so I won't go into too much detail. It's reasonably simple. We just disconnect everything, loosen our clamps and what have you, and then pull it out. Okay, here we are then. Obviously now we've got nice and full access to get the cable end off of the COBB short shift plate. It's nice and dirty in here. Could probably do with giving it a clean up, but that is a task for a different day. Now all we need to do to pop this off is you need to use a pry tool, so just get it under there and sort of apply some pressure upward and pop it off. Now because the COBB is made of aluminium, that could potentially damage it, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put like a little bit of a rag underneath here just to kind of protect it as I pop that off. So that was nice and easy, came off just fine. So you can see there that it's marked on the top of the COBB. You can have 20%, 30% or 40% reduction in throw. And of course, as I was saying before, I've got it in the middle, so I have it in the 30%. So I'm going to put it into the 40%. Literally all we need to do is to remove this little ball end, which is kind of like a little bolt out of here, and pop it in here. So this requires just a 10mm spanner. So you can give that a little bit of a clean up. So that's looking nice, and very simply we can just go right ahead and screw that into the 40%. But first I am going to put some fresh blue thread locker onto the threads. Very simple, very easy, very quick. You can use any thread locker you like. Obviously, I mean, you could use a red one if you want to never get it off again. But I mean, it's a good idea to use a blue one because that'll stop it from vibrating out. But if you want to change it back or change it to something else in the future, then you can. Alright then, just before I pop the cable back onto our ball here, I'm going to just put a little bit of grease on. I like to use this white lightning crystal grease, but you can use whatever kind of grease you like. So then that should just pop on real nice and easy. Yep, there we go. Okay, the last thing to do in here before we can get the intake and everything put back in place is to reset the neutral position. And to do that, this little white thing right here, what we do is we sort of pry the top upwards, and there's a similar little tab on the bottom that we push downwards, and then we push it that way, sort of to the left. So there we go. Whenever that pops out, then we jump over into the car, which I already had in the neutral position, and then we simply push that down into fourth, and then back into the engine bay, and very simply push that little white tab thing back into place, and that is it. So now I will get the intake back in place, and then that will be the job done. Then out on the road, first impressions are it's doing exactly what I want it to do, and that is shortening the throw. Obviously, it was always likely to be a noticeable difference, another 10% shorter than I even had it before, a full 40% shorter than stock, and it really is just exactly that, you know. And it feels really, really nice. Obviously, it's hard to really describe exactly how it feels. It does have a bit of extra weight, a bit of extra chunk, which is, of course, just a side effect of shortening it even more than before. You're shortening that sort of lever effect, and therefore it requires a little bit of extra effort. It's not as chunky as the Mini, of course. It never was likely to be. That's just the nature of the Mini gearbox. But it certainly is, I think, an improvement. And to be honest, I don't know why I didn't go for the 40% in the first place. Maybe I should have. But I mean, like I said earlier, I was really quite happy with the middle of the road 30%. But now my eyes are opened, I've seen the light, the 40% is the way to go, I think. So yeah, I mean, I'm super happy with this. This is really, really nice. I feel like I can shift that bit quicker, so like, you know, bang, and it's in. Happy days. So I think that's really, really sweet. The fact that that is so quick, so easy to do with the COBB short shift plate. Literally just have to pull the airbox and change the setting and we're done. And of course, if we didn't like it, we could very quickly and easily change it back or change it to something else. So, I mean, I'm just absolutely still loving this COBB short shift plate. Even after all this time of having it, and now doing this after all this time, it feels really fresh. It feels like I've done like quite a significant upgrade to my shifter setup, even though it's quite a small, very quick and simple upgrade. So I'm very happy with that, and I hope you like it as much as I do, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe for more content to come very, very soon. Thank you once again. Goodbye.